Gaetti takes a ball. He's the first Twin to drive in over 100 in consecutive years since Harmon Killebrew in 1970 and 71. And here's a long high drive, dead center, Lemon back, it's gone! He's going for number 2. It's way back. It's out of here. First pitch of the inning.
He was hitting latter part of the season until Tony Oliva said, look, you're floating back into your old pattern. Start driving the ball.
And he drives this one into the gap in left center field. Lemon chasing after it, can't get it. It bounces off the plexiglass. Here comes the tying run. Play at the plate. Safe. As you might expect, the moment Hernandez was announced, the left-handed hitting Bush was called back, and out comes Don Baylor to hit for him. That's a hit. 1 run is home. They'll stop Herbeck at third. A shot that'll add more runs. It gets in the gap. 2 are home. Baylor being waved home. They got a chance on him. And he's out at the plate. On a 2-run double by Brunansky, that makes it 8-5. Pitch away from finishing with a flourish. He could strike out the side with a hit and a walk tossed in. 8-5 Twins, top of the ninth. Minnesota wins it.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night, the gateway to what we think will be a wonderful weekend. And because you're such a special crowd, I can feel that there's something great happening in this studio audience tonight. Can you feel it, Paul?
I feel it, too. It's alive. It's alive.
Because of this special feeling in the studio here tonight. Yes. I don't do this always, but tonight I'm going to do something unplanned. You won't find this anywhere on the rundown for tonight's show. A little something I've been working on in the privacy of my own office, car, and home. It's an impression. I don't do many impressions, but the ones I do, I think everybody will agree are... This one is right on the money. This one will haunt you for the rest of your lives. Tonight, my impression, ladies and gentlemen, right off the... You didn't know about this, Paul. We didn't plan anything, did we?
This was not planned.
Huh?
I have not seen you before this evening.
Absolutely. It's the 3 of diamonds. Here's the impression.
Special.
Huh?
You've never done this before,
Never,
but just
anywhere.
because you feel good.
That's right.
You're going to do it tonight.
Well, I did it at dinner last night, actually.
Oh, well, hit us with it.
All right, here it is.
What is it?
It's great. Get ready to hang on to something. This is now my impression.
Yeah.
Have I oversold this, do you think?
Lay this impression on us.
Here it goes. The manager of the Detroit Tigers, Sparky Anderson, all right, listening to a question in a post-game interview. Sparky Anderson listening now to a question in a post-game interview. Goes something like this.
Okay.
Imagine now, if you will, at this moment, the pandemonium in Detroit. Because they're all saying to themselves, damn, he's got it.
Yeah. That's it.
Hi, everybody. Bob Costas along with Tony Kubek. Last night's Twins victory all the more important for them in light of several factors that come into play tonight and would seem to heavily favor the Tigers. For example, Minnesota's pitcher this evening is Bert Blyleven. The outstanding veteran right-hander was a 15-game winner this year, but he's allowed 96 home runs over the last 2 seasons, the highest 2-year dole in the history of baseball. And he faces a Tiger team that led the American League in homers and features an overload of left-handed power. In addition, Jack Morris is the Tiger starter tonight, and the St. Paul native has never lost to the Twins in Minnesota. Now, Morris is prone to the gopher ball himself. He threw 39 pitches that wound up on the wrong side of the fence this year, but the preponderance of Twins power is from the right side, so another small edge for Morris. Speaking of the Tigers, their skipper is standing by. Here's Sparky Anderson with Tony Kubek.
Okay, Bobby, thank you. Sparky, are you like everybody else in the Tiger uniform? You're sick and tired of hearing of the roof, the turf, the lights, but the fact remains there is a mystique because they never lose in this ballpark.
Well, I think so, Tony. What it really is, everybody says it's they have a great home record. It's because of one thing. They're used to playing it. They understand they can hit it out in right center, center, left. Remind me of Tony Perez. He used to go into Chicago and hit 1 or 2 home runs every series because he knew if he just got the head out, it'd go and he didn't overswing.
What about managing here? Does it change your managing style, knowing that can happen?
Well, as bad as I am, I don't really have no style. No, Tony, I think what you have to do here is you realize situations here, and you have to understand that they will not overly hit and run. They won't overly bunt here with their people because they know they can hit alleys.
You've got your horse going today who really doesn't lose in this city. What are you looking forward to?
Well, only thing I hope is that never is not always never. I would not like to see them beat us here, Tony, because that would really make them brave. They're a good young club, and I don't want to see them get too brave.
You've got a right-hander, Blyleven, throws up a lot of home runs. A lot of them to left-handed hitters, so you've got your lineup stacked with left-handed hitters today. A difference for you today?
I think this is our better lineup, when we're able to face a right-hander. I think we're 70 and 30 or something against right-handed pitching. We're a much better club against right-handers.
This the most important game, or where do we go from here?
Well, the most important game was a Sunday way back against Toronto, but I think this is very important.
Sparky, good luck to you. We'll be back after these messages.
36-year-old Bert Blyleven in his 18th Major League season. He was a 19-year-old rookie with the 1970 Twins. Faces this lineup, and notice Matt Noakes in the DH spot. They go with Heath to handle Morris, and also Heath had 2 big hits last night, so they have no catchers on the bench.
You get a problem if you get a catcher like Heath injured. You could very quickly use your designated hitter. Defensively by Bert Blyleven, same as yesterday. Same lineup. Kirby Puckett in center field already this season has robbed opposing hitters of 9 home runs, and at least a half a dozen times he's slapped balls back in the ballpark. That's what his defense means in center field to this Twins team.
You know the kind of din we experienced last night, and they're roaring already in anticipation of Blyleven's first pitch. Ball 1 to Whitaker. The plate up Durwood Merrill. Drew Coble at first. Al Clark at second. Mike Riley at third. Joe Brinkman right field line. Jim McKean left field line. 2-0. Strike. Blyleven at 36 still possesses one of the game's great curveballs. The workhorse of the staff. He threw 8 complete games and 267 innings.
What he has found he has had to do now with age, inning build-up, arm speed slower. He's got to change speeds more on the curveball now. In fact, talking to Dick Such's pitching coach, he said if there is a game plan, Bert Blyleven with the left-handers hitter Sparky's put in there will try and establish outside. He's trying to become a low ball hit pitcher after being a high ball pitcher most of his life with that fastball.
That one's too low, and Whitaker draws a leadoff walk. Sparky won his 7th division title in pursuit of his 6th pennant.
Bob, you talked about the home runs. Blyleven, 46 home runs this year. 34 of them this year have been with nobody on base. But another thing to look for is 32 of those home runs have been hit by left-handed batters.
2 of them by Darrell Evans, who's homered in each of the last 2 games Blyleven has started against the Tigers. Those were back in August. Ball 1 outside.
That'll get a trip from Tim Laudner. May find that the left shoulder's flying out, something mechanical.
Even a trip to the mound excites them at the Metrodome. Whitaker stole 13 this year. Evans hit a ball through what would have been the shortstop spot for a base hit last night. Look where they're playing it. Gaetti almost in the shortstop's position. Gagne near the bag at second.
Against right-handed pitchers, Evans primarily a pull hitter. Left-handers, he'll go the other way on occasion. Evans stands at the plate, Bob, like a lot, well, 20, 25 years ago, like a lot of power hitters did years ago. Up on the plate, a little bit open stance to get the barrelhead out. Now power hitters stand off the plate, dive in at times.
By my observation, Blyleven has thrown only 1 curveball. It was the pitch before that one for a called strike to Evans. Then he tried to bust the fastball in and missed inside.
Legal? No. Get away with it? Yep.
The 2-2 pitch. He walked Whitaker, now goes full on Evans.
And with a discerning eye that Evans has, we'll probably see Whitaker on the move.
Evans drew 100 walks this year. Whitaker is running. Called strike 3. The throw is knocked down by Gagne, and only now does Evans learn that he's a strikeout victim.
He was a third of the way down onto the batter's box. It's interesting when you try and label players and sometimes label stick or umpires. The label hung on home plate umpire Durwood Merrill is this. He will expand his strike zone up until 2 strikes, but then he doesn't call many out. He got fooled right there. One of the few umpires in this league with the inside protector that umpires dead center over the catcher's head. He got fooled by that pitch. That ball is outside.
Evans has such an excellent eye, he has reason to believe he's right and Merrill is wrong.
It was a backdoor breaking ball, but when it crossed the hitting area, it looked like it's way out of the strike zone outside. It's a man that walked 100 times this season.
Here's Gibson with a man in scoring position as Whitaker stole second on the strikeout. Gibson standing way off the plate, had a homer against Viola last night. 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Trammell is on deck.
That's what Dick Such was talking about also with Blyleven trying to establish outside and low, running fastball, and maybe with a little sinking action. He sometimes drops down too much, goes to a low 3/4, almost suddenly pushes the ball and rides up and away.
Threw that one by him. Good fastball.
Remember when he first came up, Bob, with that hard curve and the fastball in the low 90s? He only had 2 pitches. And he really is just now starting to throw some slow change.
Breaking ball got him.
Remember, Gibson was in the on-deck circle when Evans got called out on a similar pitch. And you see the hitter before you call it, he said, well, I may not be able to afford to take it. And he has a very weak swing at a pitch that was borderline at best.
And a lip reader's delight. Tremor pops the first one up. Let's see if it stays in. It won't.
He had him set up pretty good for that last wave he took at the backdoor breaking ball, because he busted him inside twice to move him off the plate. Had the ball in on his kitchen, and he was just a sitting duck for the breaking ball from Blyleven away.
That one just missed. A sweeping breaking ball. That 343 was third best in the American League behind Boggs and Molitor. Kirby Puckett of the Twins was fourth. Two and one.
Allen traveled a little bit farther away from the plate than he was yesterday and the Toronto Blue Jays series against those left-handers they threw. And many times a hitter will do that, move off the plate 6 inches or so away. But what they're doing is to protect against the curveball. He's probably striding in and will try and hit the curveball the other way up the middle. They're playing him to pull.
This is hit softly into right. Brunansky comes in, and that'll do it. Blyleven walked one, fan two. The Tigers leave Whitaker at second, and we'll be back after this. Jack Morris gets loose. Tom Kelly's lineup, all the same people he used last night. He's just flipped Lombardozzi and Gagne. Lombardozzi up to second, Gagne to 8th. None of these people have any postseason experience prior to last night. The exception, of course, for the Twins, Blyleven this evening, one of the few.
Defensively behind Jack Morris, they will be better in right field defensively with Sheridan's arm and his running speed. Bob mentioned Heath catching today and Noakes DHing. With the split-fingered fastball, forkball, if you will, that Morris throws, he already has 24 wild pitches during the regular season. They will try and run if they can get on, so Sparky wants the better arm of Mike Heath behind home plate.
Morris dropped 4 of his last 5 decisions, but pitched a heroic game this past Saturday at home against the Blue Jays. 9 terrific innings. Tigers, of course, eventually won, but it was a no decision for Morris. Gladden had 2 big hits last night and scored the tying run at the start of the 4-run 8th. Down the right side, Evans is over, and it's well out of play.
And Bob, as the leadoff hitter, Gladden, who does a lot of swaggering, very cocky kid, but he sets the tone for a free-swinging ball club. Last night he jumped on the first pitch, robbed of a base hit by Tom Brookins in third, so they're hacking and they come right out of the dugout that way. That's not a mistake. It's just to keep him a little bit honest. Keep him off the outer edge and keep him from going down after the forkball. A little purpose pitch and a nice brush back.
And the 1-1 pitch. Good fastball, and he swings through it. Morris is 11-0 lifetime in Minnesota. It had been reported at 12-0 in some quarters, but research by the Tiger PR staff overnight reduced it to 11-0. Here's Whitaker. Good backhand play, and he throws Gladden out.
Usually when the ball's in up the middle of the diamond, it's in one of those two guys' gloves, Trammell or Whitaker. They don't miss many. And on artificial surface, they're not quite as good defensively. But because of the control of these pitchers, they get to a lot of baseballs.
7 Gold Gloves between them. 4 for Trammell, 3 for Whitaker. Swing and a miss by Lombardozzi.
Bobby, I was looking at Lombardozzi's minor league record a couple of years back in the minor leagues as we look at Kirby Puckett on deck. He had 14 catchers interference calls. And word gets around. What he's doing is he probably stepped back and slapped the catcher's glove to get on base. So you'll see catchers when he's up at the plate, as the word got around, to back off just a little bit so he can't tip their gloves and be awarded first base. Let's see what Heath does and where he is in relationship to Lombardozzi when he strides. There's an art to it. He's backed off a little bit for him.
And down he goes on 3 pitches. Morris beat the Twins twice this year. Beat Frank Viola 3-2 at the Metrodome. And beat Steve Carlton 11-2 at Tiger Stadium in the reception for Puckett.
Aside from the fastball that Morris will at times get in the low 90s, usually high 80s, the forkball, excellent slider, and he had a great straight change off his fastball the day he came to the big leagues.
His 0-1 pitch. Got him to chase one out of the strike zone on the forkball or split finger.
The hitters from both teams go up against the Jack Morris or Blyleven, even though they throw different pitches with a similar thought in mind. Lay off the low pitch. Lay off the breaking ball in the dirt or down at the ankles for Blyleven, and lay off the forkball down at your ankles for Morris. Easy to say, but as sharply as they break, it's tough.
Ground ball toward the hole. Brookins to his left. Good play. And it's a 1-2-3 first for Morris. We'll return to the Metrodome in a minute. Bert Blyleven in his first tour of duty with the Twins. He's since been with Texas, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Came back to the Twin Cities in 1985 and with a different look. Last year, Ray Miller, the manager of the Twins then, had a no beards rule. Blyleven threatened to file a grievance through the Players Association, and they rescinded the rule rather than argue over it. It's like the old Al Roboski Mad Hungarian days in St. Louis when Vern Rapp said, hey, no beards. And Roboski said, it's like Samson, I'll lose my powers.
Bert left under not too friendly terms with the former owner Calvin Griffith, but then Mr. Polad got him back. And he's pretty much been one of the anchors of the staff along with Viola.
The rookie Noakes takes a ball.
A very simple swing, very short Matt Noakes. Look where he holds his hands.
Pop back out of play.
Short, compact, quick, good plate coverage. He's saying it hit him. Durwood Merrill said, I didn't see it. They've got to ask somebody else. Sparky's going to come out. They're going to request Durwood's going to go out and ask somebody else because Noakes swore it, nicked his pants or hit his glove. He's going to call down to the third base umpire, Mike Riley, who perhaps had the best view. Sparky's going to say, all we want you to do is ask Durwood. He does not have to if he doesn't want to. He's going to ask Riley's opinion, and I believe it looked like it nicked his leg.
Or did it hit Laudner's glove and then
I don't think
hit
so.
Noakes afterward?
Riley's shaking his head negatively, so is Durwood, so Sparky's not going to win this one. We're going to show it to you again. See if you can see a ripple of the pants legs. It's a real big breaking ball. Off the left knee. Hit off the left knee, folks. And Durwood didn't see it. Sparky's going to argue, but that ball hit Matt Noakes right off the left knee.
One thing you can tell for sure on the replay Noakes grimaces as the ball hits him, and no one can react that fast if they're fooling.
You know, there was another pitch in that series that Noakes looked back at as if to say, did that one hit me too? But this one for certain did. There it is, just off the left kneecap on a big breaking ball. Darwood Merrill really couldn't see that because he's down behind the catcher, blocked out, and apparently none of the other umpires did either.
And now he bounces the curve foul. Well, Sparky and his boys have a couple of gripes already with Merrill. A called third strike against Evans in the first, and now this one has Sparks shaking his head.
You can try and do that call by sound, but if it doesn't hit soundly, there's no sound to go by.
To the opposite field, and Gladden won't get to it. It's a base hit for Noakes, the first for either side. So Noakes, who struck out as a pinch hitter in the 9th last night against Reardon, gets his first postseason base hit.
And the non-call by the umpire becomes a moot point.
In fact, Noakes likes it better this way. And Lemon drives one to deep left. Gladden turns and watches it leave. Well, the only twist here is that it was a right-handed batter who did it to Blyleven. But here you've got the guy who's led the American League, led the majors for that matter, and homers allowed 2 consecutive seasons against the team that topped the majors in homers hit. It figured. The reaction you're hearing, one of the fans in the grandstand and left disdainfully chucked the ball back out onto the field. The act that began at Wrigley, they're doing it now in St. Louis and apparently in Minneapolis too. Lemon knew it from the instant he made contact.
It's a fastball inside part of the plate, right around belt high. Veda Pinson, the hitting instructor, back after his mom's death with the ball club, had moved Lemon off the plate a little bit recently because they jammed him an awful lot.
Ball one to Sheridan, and let's watch the reaction of Patty Blyleven, Bert's wife. She's seen enough ball games to know from the moment Lemon swung.
Again, if you missed the ball game last night, some said since the air conditioning was put in, the Homer Dome is a misnomer. But the air conditioning's not on last night and today, so the ball will carry very well again. Although there was no doubt on this one.
That was a rocket. 1-1. Good fastball.
And perhaps that rocket you just mentioned by Chet Lemon is going to make Blyleven change his pitching pattern. Maybe not try and sink the fastball a little bit. He's gone with his power fastball now.
Another base hit as Sheridan goes with the pitch. So a single by Noakes, a homer by Lemon, and now Sheridan follows with a hit.
Joe Niekro with the jacket. Tom Kelly, of course, with the glasses. And to the right of your screen, Dick Sucks, the pitching coach. Niekro, of course, involved in the emery board thing. Then the shoulder torn up by a fight. Then he got hit by a ball when he was doing interviews, so it's doubtful that he will pitch in this series.
Up steps Brookins.
There he goes.
There goes Sheridan. Brookins bluffs a bunt, and the throw won't get him.
You've got a perfect combination to run on. Blyleven, when he goes with the curveball, tougher to throw. They have stolen really pretty easily against Twins catchers this year. It'd be something I would think they're going to try and go out and get during the offseason, but catchers are hard to come by.
Opponents have been successful against Laudner and Butera 78% of the time.
He's going to try and shoot it to right field. He's going to bunt.
Blyleven's play is to first, and it's a successful sacrifice. Sheridan went into third headlong and didn't have to bother.
It is early to bunt, but you've got Heath, who had a home run yesterday, an RBI single. Another reason why he's catching today, not just for his throwing arm, but you're bunting for a reason. And it'll be questioned if they come back and Sparky didn't play for a big inning. He's got his horse, Jack Morris, who doesn't get beaten this town, never been beaten here. So they are going to get one more run because he's got the horse working for him, Jack Morris.
And E for effort. And here's Heath taking a strike. The infield comes in actually about halfway. I've seen them come in closer than this in some situations, but a sharply hit ball on the rug will get to them fast enough so that they'll have a chance to make a play at the plate.
Contact play is not on.
Sheridan holds, and Gagne throws him out.
And the reason the contact play was not on, first of all, a quick turf. Blyleven was pitching from the stretch to hold him closer, but also the left-handed bat of Lou Whitaker. Sparky wanted his bat up. He didn't want to have a play to take a run out of scoring position being thrown on home plate with a contact play. So all the factors, the throwing arms, Blyleven from the stretch, and Whitaker's bat.
And the 1-2 pitch. Fouled off.
Bert Blyleven still having some trouble with his control. The location giving after the fastball sign was given by Lawton to come in on the fists of Whitaker. And again, the fastball ran up and away.
Blyleven has always been a great control artist, but this year he walked 101, easily the highest of his career.
I think an indication that he's trying to alter his pitching pattern. Going a little different direction after all the home runs last year, record-setting pace. Changing speeds, finessing a little bit more.
Well, it didn't work. He added to his walks and still gave up all the homers. Laudner makes a good play. Now it's a full count.
Laudner gets down real well. Gets down on the knees, gets the glove down, and blocks it to try and prevent the run.
A drive to center. Puckett started in, now goes back to the edge of the track to squeeze it. But Chet Lemon puts a sour taste in the Twins' mouths, and it's 2-0 Detroit after 1.5. And Lemon drives one to deep left. Gladden turns and watches it leave. Well, the only twist here is that it was a right-handed batter who did it to Blyleven. A portrait of an unhappy man as Bert Blyleven heads for the Twins dugout. And this is a live shot. He has always been hypercritical. That's always been the word on him. Very hard on himself. There you see Tom Kelly. Blyleven sits right next to Kelly when he pitches. All the way at the end of the dugout when it's not his turn to work. Given a 2-run pad to work with. Herbeck, Gaetti, and Bush in the last of the second. Just off the inside corner.
Sparky comments I found interesting about talking about this Minnesota team, how they have patterned themselves, an individual and a team, for this ballpark. At one time, Calvin Griffith wanted him to pull everything to take advantage of short right field porch. Now Herbeck knows, as Gaetti found it yesterday and a couple of years ago, they can hit the ball out of here in center field as well as any place else. The ball flies in that direction.
Check swing roller to Whitaker. Room service hop, 1 out.
That was a tough fork ball. He hasn't thrown many to this point. It has the same action as does Bruce Sutters when he was in his prime. Mike Marshall, the former Twins pitcher, called that pitch a one-fingered screwball. Has exactly the same action as Bruce Sutters. Rolls up the thumb side of the middle finger.
They waved those homer hankies twice, saluting Gaetti last night. Homers in his first 2 postseason at-bats. He also hit a home run in his first major league at-bat back in 1981. So he's a guy who makes a big first impression.
Here's a shot to deep right. This one is off the canvas for extra bases. Gaetti on his way to second, in with a double. His 2 homers were to right center. This one to almost straightaway right.
And all 3 pitches almost in the same area. Gaetti said Alexander made 2 mistakes. Up and out over the plate, one a breaking ball, one a fastball. And the same thing now. Morris, although he's throwing a lot harder than Doyle Alexander, still got one up in the sweet place for Gaetti. Up and away.
Randy Bush takes a strike.
You know, when Gaetti first came up, he was almost a dead pull hitter. And they killed him with breaking balls away, and he's learned to adjust to this ballpark. Again, referring to what Sparky Anderson said, they've adjusted to this park.
And this one is popped up wide of third. Brookins and Trammell. Trammell in behind him to make the catch. And Gibson was heading toward them as well. It could have been a 3-way collision. Trammell goes back on pop-ups, possibly better than any shortstop in the majors.
Although there is not the problem with the lighting as there was a couple of years ago, Trammell has said that every time he comes in here, he all but has nightmares, thinking with a man on base, he's going to go back for a ball. You can see the 2 there don't take their eye off it at all for fear of losing it in the Teflon canvas. And he said, I have nightmares that it will fall somewhere and I'll never find it.
That was a fair ball. By the position of the ball, of course, not Trammell's feet. It's the ball that matters.
Brunansky looking for the gap, and it's in there. He'll have a double. Gaetti scores, and the Tiger lead is halved. Same 2 who did most of the damage last night. Brunansky had 2 doubles, 3 RBIs in game 1, so his third 2-bagger of the series.
Another man who was a dead pull hitter when he first came up. Brunansky loved the ball middle of the plate in. Again, he's adjusted to this ballpark. Some say when they go on the road, especially Tiger Stadium, the right-handers try and pull the ball more, and that gets them in trouble.
Gagne takes the ball.
Check down at first base. No, he didn't go around. 3-1.
You know, Bob, a lot has been made about stealing of signs from the center field camera. It's possible, but not very probable with the pitching rhythm of some of these pitchers. What they do now, and usually they put a catcher, Sal Buteri, he may be in the clubhouse, seeing the series of signs, and then what they do is he'll come down, and when they get a man on second baseman later on, he'll say, hey, look, when you're on second, here's what the signs are, the switches are. And then the second baseman can do it. That's how they're stealing signs.
Fastball rode up and in, and Gagne's aboard. For 3 last night. Pair of strikeouts and a comebacker.
drive down the left field line, in there. 1 run home. A second headed for the plate. Trammell's relay. No. It's 3-2 Minnesota. Hitting 191, you know he's going to savor something like this. The third double of the inning, it produces 2.
Jack Morris tried to throw him a slider, executed poorly. Yesterday, the Tigers executed 2 perfect relays. They got 1 runner at home plate Baylor. They lost one in Gladden. A weaker arm now in Gibson. He bounced it. Trammell can't get a handle. He didn't get a good throw. And he's way offline because the rhythm of the relay was much more offline than yesterday when it went Lemon to Trammell to Heath. This time Gibson's poor throwing arm was taken advantage of. Hanging slider hurt Morris also.
Sparky completes his visit with Morris and a swing and a miss by Gladden.
Already you wonder if Sparky has second thoughts of bunting with Brookins, who hits the ball in the right field so early.
3 in the bottom half for the Twins. Lofted down the left field line. Foul ground. Brookins back. And he makes the catch. But doubles by Gaetti, Brunansky, and Rodner with a walk to Gagne thrown in, and the Twins take the lead. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Here's a shot to deep right. This one is off the canvas for extra bases. Gaetti on his way to second, in with a double. Brunansky looking for the gap, and it's in there. He'll have a double. Gaetti scores, and the Tiger lead is halved. Drive down the left field line, in there. 1 run home. A second headed for the plate. Trammell's relay. No. It's 3-2 Minnesota. Hometown boy who's never lost here. Stake to a 2-0 lead, now on the short end. 3-2 Twins.
Interesting how aggressively Rick Rennick, the third base coach, has been in just these 2 games. He's won twice. With Gladden and Gagne, 2 guys who have speed, he's lost with Baylor.
Evans smashes one. Herbeck tries to make the diving play and can't. And for the 3rd straight inning, the leadoff man is on against Blyleven.
And perhaps the only first baseman in Major League Baseball would have prevented a double on that. Not even Mattingly. His gloves on the other side. Keith Hernandez, who plays so far off the line, this ball is crushed. A big guy, what, 225 or so? Maybe more. Tremendous agility. Prevents it from going into the corner.
When Herbeck came up in '82, he was listed at 218. He admits he's been as high as 255, maybe 260 at various times since then. Don't know exactly where he is right now. But I think he'd view 225 as charitable.
Sure, Norman, nice guy.
Here's Gibson.
That's what they want to do with him. Jam him inside and maybe make him swing at some bouncers in the dirt. Blyleven's got both of those pitches. He can come up and in. With a 4-seamer, he can bounce the curveball. Gibson perhaps trying to pull the ball a little too much, get it through the right side.
Evans, no threat to steal a base, being held by Herbeck.
I I think it's a silly move right now to hold him out and not protect that gap. But if you've got a agile first baseman, you might try a little bit more, but he's not going anywhere. If he does, he's doing you a favor.
Blyleven ahead at Gibson 1-2. He's already thrown 51 pitches.
The important part is the strike-to-ball ratio is not very good.
And he strikes Gibson out for the second time.
You can have all the scouting reports you want, but you've got to be able to have a pitcher on the mound who can execute it and throw the ball right where the scouting report says, up and in. Blyleven just did.
I tell you, boys, you move in this close on Gibson, given his temper tantrums, at your own peril. That is not a PG-rated dugout shot. When Kirk is steamed. And a ball to Trammell. Wrapped to short. Gagnon for one. And on to Herbeck for two.
It's Herbeck's play right there. Keep preventing that double.
Years ago today, using that no wind-up delivery, Don Larson will throw a called third strike past the pinch hitter Dale Mitchell. And for the Dodgers, it's 27 up and 27 down.
The Goonie Bird. That was his nickname. I think Whitey Ford gave it to him. I don't know why. It looked like a Goonie Bird. He could run like heck. Sometimes for Casey, he bats 7th in the lineup. And did that get Billy Martin mad when he bat 8th or 9th? And aside from that important date, because I forgot to send a card, and I'm sorry, happy birthday to Randy Costas, sitting back in New York City.
And I know she appreciates that. Thank you, Tony.
Probably appreciates more you're not in town to bug her all the time. You're wearing her down.
Best birthday present she could get. Send me out of town for the playoffs.
See if he takes that forkball grip and goes in his glove. There it is. Doesn't mean he's going to throw it.
Lombardozzi bounces one toward the hole, but there's Trammell in perfect position.
Safe.
And he pulled Evans off the bag with the throw. They would have had him by half a step. But Trammell might be charged with a rare error here.
Sparky's going to be out again. To me, it looked like Evans had the foot on the bag all the way, and after the ball hit his glove, he went off. That's from the naked eye. Drew Coble felt differently. And perhaps this team a little more speed than the Tigers are giving them credit for. He is off the bag.
Oh, good call.
You betcha. He isn't off by much, maybe a couple of inches. Trammell going to the right, not used to the artificial surface, not many games played that, and rides the ball high. When he tried to rush his throw, get a little extra, pulls him off the bag. He's saying what, but if he sees a replay, I think he'd agree with Drew Coble.
And you score it E6.
You think they might hit and run with Kirby Puckett in this situation? Lombardozzi, you can never tell.
Not going. In the air to right field, Sheridan had him played perfectly, makes the catch.
Way to play it is to not do anything. Don't disturb Herbeck. Keep the hole open on the right side. You see by that defense straight away is Chet Lemon that they're going to probably try and run the ball away, giving him the right field line. Not going to give him anything inside the pull, and that's where he's setting up. They want to prevent him or try to prevent him from getting the ball in the air and even on the ground between Whitaker and Evans holding the runner on.
He's swinging. It's a double play ball. Whitaker to Trammell and on to Evans. And the Twins are finished in the third. Trammell's error doesn't hurt. And here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment.
An Olympic moment brought to you by the Prudential, offering a full range of insurance and other financial services. The Prudential.
Helsinki, 1952. Emil Zatopek of Czechoslovakia is running in his very first marathon. He has already won the 5,000 and 10,000 meter runs. Zatopek is all alone at the finish. Emil Zatopek, 2 Olympiads, a total of 4 gold medals.
Tigers have not been pictures of gentility so far. The jet-jawed trammel. Evans arguing at first. And Gibson with a profane reaction after the second of his 2 strikeouts.
I wonder if Gibby heard this much noise when he played in the Michigan football game with over 100,000 people. I doubt it. Where these fans are hooting and hollering.
Well, it wasn't contained by a dome, and I tell you, inside a building like this, it has the effect, as we said last night, of a home court advantage in basketball. Counting last night's win, the Twins are 57 and 25 here. That's a pace of 695. But on the road, 29 and 52. That's 358 baseball. And again, we mentioned this yesterday. It's the worst road record of any division or pennant winner ever. So if the Tigers get a split here, they got to feel pretty good going to Detroit for the next 3. Noakes, Lemon, and Sheridan. Curveball, they check down at third. He didn't go. Mike Riley, the ump down there. Noakes rode home on Lemon's homer in the second.
Noakes uses a 32-inch bat, 31 ounces, very short, one of the shortest in the big leagues.
Number out in front of the plate. Lautner throws him out.
The off-speed pitch that Blyleven has been working a lot on gets him way out in front. Well, there are first ball hitters like Kirby Puckett to swing at a curveball, slider, or a fastball. It's near the strike zone. There are first ball hitters like Randolph, fastball up over the plate. He'll mash it. The Scotty report on Lemon. First ball, fastball hitter. He gets one right about down the middle of the plate. And would have made Werner von Braun very happy with that rocket he sent to the left field bleachers.
This time he starts him with the breaking ball and it misses. Here's a smash and Gaetti flags it down and just nonchalantly flips it over to Gagne. Nothing to it, pal.
And you can see what can happen when you've got a first ball fastball hitter. First time up, he jolts it to Blyleven, and Lautner say, well, let's start him out with a breaking ball. And a breaking ball, even for a pitcher as great as Blyleven, is more difficult to get over a plate than a fastball. So then he had to come after missing with a breaking ball with a fastball, and Gaetti makes a nice play. Very, very agile. You know, Gaetti's the kind of guy, when you look at his build, you wouldn't think he's very quick. He's not a fast runner, but he's very quick.
Fouled off by Sheridan, who's 1 for 1. Well, that was true of Brooks Robinson, for example, who was one of the slowest runners in the league throughout his career, but cat quick defensively.
And the third baseman has to have the fastest glove hand on the field, especially on the turf, maybe with the exception of some catchers.
Inside, 1-1. Tomorrow an off day, Saturday afternoon at Tiger Stadium. Les Straker, with a record of 8 and 10, will pitch for the Twins. Walt Terrell, 17 and 10, goes for the Tigers.
They have tried to get Sheridan to hit the ball in the left field a lot more. He's one of these guys that you put in the scorebook 4-3. He finally went down to the Harry Walker School of Hitting.
Harry didn't tell him to take called third strikes, though. Inside part at the letters. Gaetti showed us what he could do with his glove. He'll grab a bat and lead off in the bottom half. This comparison is very valid because in the American League they play a balanced schedule. The Tigers played as many games against the Twins or the Seattle Mariners as they did against Toronto. In the National League, the schedule is tilted toward your own division. So the Cardinals, for example, played the Giants only 12 times, played their fellow members of the National League East 18 times. But with the balanced schedule, it's worth noting that the Twins would have been 5th in the East, 13 back of the Tigers. Gaetti takes the ball.
Let's see if we have a pitching pattern change now. Gaetti taking the ball out over the plate, up in the strike zone, rifling it to right field, right center field. Morris looked like he tried to get a ball inside, but too high.
Since the end of the Oakland dynasty, the American League East champ has won the playoffs 10 of the last 12 years. The only breakthroughs, the Royals in 80 and 85 for the West. Throws him a big lollipop, and it's high.
When Morris goes into his glove before he takes a sign with a fork ball, I don't think he's decoying any hitters, but what he's doing, he keeps stretching those membranes and tendons between the two fingers. So you can come up with tendonitis if you don't continue to do that. That's why they'll walk around with a softball or a baseball sometimes between starts between those two fingers.
And the payoff. Fastball is popped up. They finally retire Gaetti as Whitaker does the honors.
You know, we came very close to having a ground rule come and play there. That baby hits the canvas, which it's done about 3 times this year. Gaetti's done it once. He's had to catch it. If it hits the canvas and you catch it, it's an out. Kingman hit a ball hit up in one of the holes. It was a ground rule double. If it hits a speaker and you catch it, it's an out. I mean, there are all kinds of freak things that have happened and may still happen in this park.
Kingman hit the ball that went up through the hole and stuck there. And then the next day, Mickey Hatcher contended that it was still in play if it came down. So they had somebody go up there and drop it down, and Mickey was waiting for it, but true to form, he dropped it.
Don Dakinger, the home plate umpire, I believe, set it up.
You can see why Morris threw 24 wild pitches this year, an American League record.
You know, that is such a field pitch. He's having difficulty changing speeds on it. He's bounced a couple of those. The hard ones he's thrown a couple for a strike. And basically fastball and some sliders.
A bullet foul, and no one had a chance to react and get out of the way. But luckily, it was wedged in that corner without decapitating anybody.
Just in front of that fella in the auxiliary boxes, there's a pretty good glove there if he could have gotten there. It looked like Al Kaline sitting right in the corner, just in front of this kid.
Who has aged 10 years in the past 10 seconds. Smashes one up the middle. A one-out hit for Bush. Kaline, Tiger Hall of Famer, a broadcaster these days, looking on at the Metrodome. There's a chance for a reprise of a World Series Al Kaline participated in 1968. Tigers and Cardinals. Brunansky had an RBI double in the second. His 4th run driven home in the 2 games. The runner goes. Good pitch to run on. Heath unloads. But Bush steals it. The pitch was down and in, and Heath did a good job to make it that close, but it was a very tough pitch to make a throw on.
A hard fork ball down and in. Maybe even a little bit easier for a catcher if it's away, even if he has to backhand it, because it's easier to do this way. He's got to catch it in his glove hand, square all the way around. It gives the runner, and Bush is not a fast runner by any means, but it gave him a few extra steps.
2-0 to Brunansky. Tom Kelly showing the effects. You get the feeling we haven't seen the last man cross the plate tonight. There he goes for third, and Heath had trouble getting it out of his glove. Otherwise, I think he had it.
Right here might be a situation where they calling pitches. Now that, I know there's a hard forkball and a fastball down and in, but they can steal location if they can. And Tom Kelly, if he uses the monitors, either satellite dish or the center field camera relayed from Butera if he's watching, he can pick a pitch and send guys. Send him on a forkball one time and then something down and in. Sinker-like.
Bush at third with one out, infield in, and the 3-1 pitch. That one will be out of play. Rennick, the coach, at third.
Bush had 10 steals all season long, so somebody, maybe Rennick, maybe Kelly, maybe Such, the pitching coach, picking the right pitches for this team to steal on.
Heath under even more pressure now with Morris's tendency to bounce pitches. He's got to block anything to prevent Bush from scoring. The 3-2. Walked him.
Morris knows the 8 and 9 hitters are coming up. And then he can take his infield on his fast turf and move them back in the middle of the diamond and go double play. Gives him a little more leeway for a mistake.
Billy Muffet to the phone.
The place they don't want to go to, that bullpen.
Tiger relievers haven't been firemen, they've been arsonists. Last night, a case in point. Gagne fouls it off. He had a walk in the second. Gagne, Bush at third, Brunansky at first, and Petrie heating up in a hurry.
Remember, Brunansky at first is 11 for 11 on the season in stolen bases. He picks his spots, but Gagne, great bat control. Kelly may try and break up the infield. You just saw why a runner takes his lead off third in foul territory. If he does get hit, he might get hurt badly, but at least it's not an out. That's any consolation.
The true definition of taking one for the team.
Yeah.
Full count. He's not going, and it's ball 4. They're loaded up.
I believe it is, because Merrill's not going out there. Sparky didn't come out, I don't believe, until he was motioned out. It's a trip out.
Doubled home 2 in the second. Bush at third. Romansky at second. Gagne walks off first. One out, last of the fourth. 3-2 Twins, and they look for more. Ball one high. From the full windup. Down the right field line, but it's fading foul. With home run distance. Despite all the homers Morris gives up, 39 of them this year, he has not allowed a homer with more than one man on base in over 2 years, which is the mark of other great pitchers who have high homer totals. The Robin Roberts, the Catfish Hunters, the Fergie Jenkins.
Means he's got something a little extra when he needs it.
One and two. The book on Laudner always has been you can get him to chase pitches out of the strike zone. He's an undisciplined hitter, inordinately high strikeout ratio, batting average under 200. But strong enough to really crush the ball when he makes contact, as he did for the big double back in the second.
He hits mistakes.
As he did 16 times for homers during the regular season. That one's in the dirt and blocked by Heath.
Morris still having trouble with the fork ball. Tried to change speeds. He's bouncing it well out in front of home plate. He tried for the strikeout fork ball a little harder. And look where it goes. So Laudner signaling the runners in case they couldn't pick it up. Sometimes you get blocked out by the hitter.
You can see why Sparky DH Noakes and caught Heath. Heath's had his hands full, and Noakes is not a good defensive catcher at all.
Heath looking in, perhaps in this situation, Sparky calling the pitches, so you can't steal him if you're stealing from the center field camera for second base.
Did he commit himself? Yes! Laudner can't believe it. But he strikes out with the bases loaded. You be the judge. Yeah, sure. He went.
Didn't have to see replay for that, baby. Morris pushing himself, still struggling with the fork ball, so he's just reaching back and trying to throw the fastball as hard as he can. Had a little sailing action on it.
Now it's Gladden, who's 0 for 2. Heath has to do it again.
Jack trying to do the all-on fastballs, and the hitters seem to know it now.
The 1-0 pitch. 2-0. With the bases loaded, and Morris has already walked 2 in this inning. Has to throw a strike, and Gladden knows it. And a perfect strike it was. He didn't groove one, he got the outside corner.
A pitcher's call. Is Alex Grammas the man who might be flashing the signs? And Heath keeps looking in. Sparky may be whispering to Grammas, and maybe that was the little pat on the cheek.
Another one on the outside edge. Evens the count. That's Noakes, the young catcher, to Sparky's left, popping the sunflower seeds.
Heath has not yet looked in. He's looking out at Morris. We'll watch. Now Heath looks in. There's something rubbing the pants. We don't know. Could skin be one thing and something else another? Speculation, but it's a possibility.
And the 2-2 pitch. for dear life. And that's a base hit through the hole. 1 run in. Rennick sends the next one home. Ahead of Gibson's throw. It's 5-2.
Season, Kirk Gibson in 1 ball game threw 2 runners out at home plate. That was not in accord with the scouting reports on his arm. Today he's made 2 throws, and Rennick has taken advantage of him twice on a relay and on that one.
A strike to Lombardozzi. Broken bat roller toward Brookins. He'll go for the force. It was very close. But Al Clark punches Gladden out of there at second base. But they tack on 2, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station. Morris hanging on for dear life. And that's a base hit through the hole. 1 run in. Rennick sends the next one home. Ahead of Gibson's throw. National League Series from Candlestick Park. The Cardinals and the Giants, having split the first 2 at Busch Stadium, 8 Eastern Time, with Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola tomorrow night. Tony, I'd ask you if you've ever seen a team as good at home as the Minnesota Twins, but I know the answer.
61 Yankees?
You bet. You were a member of that 61 Yankee team, which was, get this, 65-16 at Yankee Stadium. Brookins against Blyleven.
It's interesting, Bob. Yesterday, some people speculated why Tom Kelly let Viola pitch to travel. Well, he's got Reardon down. It is a 7-game series, and those that question him are really kind of foolish. You don't want to burn Reardon out. It might be 7 games. You've got a lot of pitchers, and Blyleven's throwing a lot of pitches. You may want to use him for 2 innings. So yesterday in that situation, Kelly wanted to hold back as long as he could on Reardon for today, and maybe push him longer today because there's an off day. So there was no reason to second guess, because Viola handled the right-hand hitters pretty well yesterday.
If you can't second guess, what fun is baseball? Where's Viola? That one just missed. Well, first of all, Kelly tells us that Reardon is available for an inning, maybe an inning and a third tonight. And we'll explain his thinking last night after this pitch, which Brookins hits in the air to center. Puckett glides over. 1 out of the top half of the 5th. Beginning that 8th inning with a left-handed hitter, Gibson, for sure Viola was going to work to him. If he had retired him, he was going to take him out right then and bring in Reardon. But when Gibson, who can run, reached base, he decided he'd rather have the left-hander Viola to hold him on rather than Reardon with the high leg kick and a right-handed pitcher. Skied down the right side. Herbeck very good at going back on those pop-ups. Takes that one easily. And so Kelly's decision was that rather than allow Gibson the chance to steal a base off Reardon, he'd keep the double play in order. Viola had retired Trammell pretty easily the first 3 times, but eventually when a guy's hitting .343, he catches up with you, and Trammell doubled to right.
And also, as we look at the charts where it said every pitch, normal every game of the season, when Andy MacPhail bought Ralph Houken, he stood in the dugout in uniform next to Kelly all spring training. And Ralph was a master running a bullpen. And one of the things Ralph told Kelly is, don't wear your horse out. Don't push him too far. And you still could be involved in a lot of games if you get in the World Series.
Strike one to Whitaker. There's another sense in which Kelly is like Howe. He's a player's manager. He doesn't play up to the media very much, but his coaches and his players love him. Whitaker bounces one up the middle for a 2-out hit.
Lombardozzi, the second baseman, on a breaking ball sign, a curveball, leaning a little bit to the left. Ball out over the plate, and Whitaker hits it opposite where the defense was leaning or shifting. Hit it up the middle, which made it harder on this turf for Lombardozzi to get beat on it.
Evans is struck out and singled. The 2-2 pitch. Over Blyleven's head, in comes Gagne, and he makes the tag on Whitaker coming down. No runs ahead, a man is left. To the last of the fifth, 5-2 Twins.
And right up from A-ball, Kent Hrbek of the Minnesota Twins, recipient of this week's Gillette Special. In his first Major League game, Hrbek got his first RBI against the Yankees in New York. A native of Minneapolis, the young first baseman made quite a leap from Class A ball.
My mom and dad were home, and they had a bunch of people over at their place last night watching it on TV. And yeah, I guess it was pretty exciting around Bloomington. It was pretty wild last night, especially after the 12th inning was over.
So, in the 12th, Kent found himself batting with the game tied at 2-2. George Frazier delivered, and so did Hrbek. Deep to right center. Going, it's gone. How about that? A game-winning homer to beat the Yankees in his Major League debut. Now, that is something to talk about.
You know, I was going to tell the guys, at least I hit one out during batting practice, and then last night I got to call everybody and tell them I hit one out during the game, so it was pretty exciting.
Congratulations, Kent, and see you next week, folks, on This Week in Baseball.
Actually, Jack Morris was the losing pitcher for the American League in the All-Star game in this ballpark back in 1985, but he's never lost a game that mattered here.
I guess it's just the fact that I've always taken this team serious. I've always wanted to do well here, and the biggest reason of it all is the team's always supported me well here. They've gotten me enough runs to win.
They'll have to get him 6 at least if he's going to win tonight. He trails 5-2.
That tape piece was done yesterday. Today before the ball game, Mark Belanger of the Players Association met with both ball clubs. Yesterday met with the San Francisco Giants and Cardinals and asked them, because the NABET union is on strike against NBC, asked the players to be in sympathy with them. So Morris did that yesterday, not today.
Puckett with a drive to right that sends Sheridan back for a nice catch against the padding. And with the exception of the double he came up with in the 8th inning into the gap in left center, Puckett has gone to the right side every time at bat in this series.
And that was pretty much a jam shot. They pitched him inside. He fisted it, but sneaked it through because Gibson said he didn't quite see the ball off the roof, and he might have had it under better conditions.
Hrbek's 0 for 2.
Hrbek, a local boy. Every so often, Mom gives him some hitting instructions and tells him to be more aggressive. Grew up near old Bloomington Stadium. Father passed away a few years ago. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Reggie Jackson was the national chairman of that for many years. Herbie's still very active in it.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right.
The 1-1 pitch.
You see him stretch as we look at Gaetti on deck. That has been something that was plaguing Hrbek. He's had it's almost like a pinched nerve or a deep pull muscle. And every so often you see him stretch. I believe it's his left leg, to try and keep it loose. And he's not playing at full strength. You wouldn't know it the way he dove at that ball to prevent that double, setting up the double play a while ago. It's not an injury you can tape and do much with. You just have to play through the pain of it.
2-1. In there. Well, if this lead holds up for the Twins, the Tigers will be comforted by 2 things. One, they'll be going home, and two, the recent history of postseason play is filled with comebacks. Full count. Last year, for example, the Angels are ahead 3-1 in the playoffs. The Red Sox roar back and win. The Mets drop the first 2 games of the World Series to the Red Sox, come back in unbelievable fashion and win. In '85, the Royals are down 3-1 in both the playoffs and World Series, win 3 straight in each case. Fouled off. And in '84, the Cubs had the 2-0 lead on a seemingly outclassed Padre team, and San Diego swept the next 3.
Well, the comforting feeling for the Twins will also be that if they win this game, that they know they're coming back here. And that is a lot of comfort for at least one game, which would be 6. And in this park, what they've done this year, that's what they want a shot at.
3-2 pitch. Fastball fouled off.
Heath couldn't see it at all. See him throw his arms out? It's one of the classic pictures at Water Award here. Bob Costas told you about Kingman's ball on the roof. Houston Jimenez, the shortstop, Jonathan Stevens, the second baseman, with their arms akimbo, looking up, couldn't find the baseball. Somebody got a still shot. Herbeck thought he was on that pitch, a little bit late.
One out, nobody on, last of the 5th. And this one is hit to deep left center. This one has got a chance. This one is gone. And we had to wait for the signal. And Herbeck wasn't sure himself, running hard as he approached second base. It's the 6th home run in 2 nights in this series. And it's not at all uncommon for Herbeck to hit an opposite field home run.
It's perhaps, and there's Darl Alexander to the left. Terrell will pitch tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, in Detroit. It's what this Tigers starting staff on the right side perhaps does better than any in baseball, especially the American League, is run the ball away from left-handed power hitters, prevent them from pulling the ball, getting it in the air. But under these conditions in this ballpark, you saw it flew out of here to left center field.
Gets up again in the Tiger pen.
Sparky's got to make a decision sooner or later. When will I say pull the plug on Morris so I can come back with him with just 3 days rest? If you push him too far, his next start could be affected. Dan Petrie.
6-2 Minnesota, and what a time it would be from the Twins' perspective to hang the first Metrodome loss outside of that All-Star game defeat on Morris. Change-up misses.
Most of it's been because he cannot get the off-speed stuff over. It's been hard stuff. And these Twins hitter, they are young in age, but they've got a lot of experience. Guy Eddie, Herbeck, Bernansky, they've been around a while, as has Puckett. They're sitting on the hard stuff.
Fastball at the knees. Well, to stretch this out a bit, there's no way you can call the Twins a great ball club. They won but 85. And they can't do anything right away from home. But the American League team has the home field advantage in the World Series. In theory, they could be world champs without ever winning a road game. They could go 8-0 here and 0-6 away.
Well, they've got to win this one first, and then 2 in Detroit was a long way off when you look at their road record.
I didn't say it would happen. I just said in theory it could happen.
And then you face Terrell, who doesn't seem to ever lose in Tiger Stadium on the grass, and you got another situation when they leave here.
The differences have always been dramatic, and at their most extreme in 1987.
Well, I guess they used to say the other dome, that one in the National League, although there's a King Dome in this league in Seattle, but the other dome was the best home park advantage down in Houston. I don't think it was true this year, but I guess this dome has taken over that title.
0-1 to Bush. Throws him the big change, and Randy almost screwed himself into the dirt chasing it. The interesting difference, though, is that the Astros, you could see the reasons why. They built a team to play in that spacious, artificial turf park. The Twins, at least at first glance, don't appear to be specifically geared for this ballpark.
You just said the difference. A spacious ballpark. Jimmy Wynn hit a lot of home runs before they moved the fences in. They built it on speed because home runs did not come easy unless you were Jimmy Wynn or a few others. This park, the ball flew in right from the start. And Calvin Griffith, when he started, George Brophy always scouted big sluggers. And they fit in well here.
But the other side of that is the American League is filled with sluggers. So visiting teams coming in shouldn't be at such a big disadvantage.
Check the lights on this park the first 2 days guys come in here. They'll all tell you they try to get a lot of early batting practice the day before if there's an off day, the day of in the afternoon to get used to the lighting conditions. They say that coming for 3-game series, you don't get accustomed to the light till the 3rd day, and then you're gone after that.
Full count now to Randy Bush. A run is home on Herbeck's homer. 6-2 Twins, last of the 5th. Called strike 3. But not before Herbeck bruises Morris, who uncharacteristically has been knocked around in his hometown. And this one is hit to deep left center. This one has got a chance. This one is gone. Kent Herbeck, the latest Twins hero, and apparently Vanna White is at the game.
There are going to be a lot of cold feet, Minnesota people tonight. And they go to bed with all the bed sheets hung out here.
But their hearts might be warmed by a 2-game lead in the series. I'll match you bad line for bad line. Gibson, Trammell, and Noakes in the 6th against Blyleven.
You wonder if Detroit is starting to say, hey, maybe we ought to try and reach back for something extra and turn something on here. This is getting serious. And some people said that perhaps after those 7 games, back-to-back weekends against the Toronto Blue Jays, all by 1 run, total runs 25 to 24, that they would not be able to get up for this series. As difficult as it sounds, emotionally, it is tough.
To a high fastball past Gibson.
You can push your mind a little bit and say, let's get up for it, let's do it. But your body is so tired and emotionally you're so drawn that perhaps you can't.
Viola and then Reardon each consistently threw high fastballs past Gibson last night. Blyleven has struck him out twice tonight. Not this time, hit hard, but Lombardozzi is right there, and that takes care of him.
Trammell punched the ball earlier, 6-4-3 double play, 1 hopper. Evans banged the ball on the first base line, looked like a double. Herbeck prevented that. So there have been some balls hit hard off Blyleven, and he has thrown a lot of pitches. But he's got one of those arms and one of those deliveries that he can go on. He's had some high inning totals over the years. He's been over 300 a couple of times in his career for a season.
Trammell's 0 for 2. Breaking ball for a strike.
You can see the style from the center field camera of Blyleven has changed. We talked about him being in a transition the last couple of years from a high power pitcher with a good curve, trying to sink the ball a bit more. After he got in trouble, he's gone pretty much with looks like the 4-seam fastball and the curveball. The other stuff wasn't working for him, so he's reverted back to his old farm.
Ooh. Came down from the side, took a little bit off, and disposes of Trammell. Patty Blyleven has a homer, hanky, and a whistle. Coming fully prepared. That's 5 strikeouts for Blyleven. With apologies to ESPN's Chris Berman, who hangs those wacky nicknames on ball players, such as Bert Blyleven. Oh. Bouncer toward the hole. Lombardozzi will have time, and he throws him out. Patty's tweeting, and the Twins are leading. Oh. Good night. In the last half of the sixth, and Morris is already approaching 100 pitches.
There is something going on. We don't know what. Tom Kelly, between innings, had a long talk with Durwood Merrill. Went out in the field. Durwood Merrill went down to Drew Coburn, the first base umpire. Now, the third base umpire, Riley, saying something. They're trying to clear up something. We'll try and find out for you. Maybe impossible. But something is going on. It almost seems like behind the Tiger dugout. We don't know what.
The redhead tinged with gray, and even a year as a big league manager, even a winning year can do that. Down to third, fair ball. Brookins has a long throw, and Evans helps him with a nice pickup.
You have a tendency on the artificial surface, it's happened to Traveler, almost happened to Brookins, saying, well, the ball's going to get to me faster, so you play 5-6 strides deeper, but then all of a sudden, you overextend your arm and you bounce it. Remember what happened to Ozzie Smith in the Milwaukee series? We started out very deeply, and by the time he saw the Molitor, Yount speed on that ball club and others, he had to come in 10, 11 strides because his arm couldn't make it across the diamond for their speed.
Gagne's walked twice. Takes a strike. According to his manager, Gagne is the second best defensive shortstop in the American League after Tony Fernandez, but I can hear the howls of disapproval in Detroit already. They'll have to go some to displace Alan Trammell. Change up fouled off.
The league is loaded with him. Dick Schofield is not bad with the Angels, very consistent. Quinones up at Seattle is smoothing out his play for Dick Williams. He's got a chance to be a good one.
Ozzie Gem with the White Sox.
Oh, yeah. Just started to mention.
And, of course, there's Cal Ripken Jr. On the outside corner, and Merrill punches him out of there. He has had what can definitely be described as a generous strike zone.
He's set up on the outer edge. Morris paints the outside corner, and Heath frames it. Isn't baseball jargon getting attractive these days?
Ball one to Laudner. Had the two-run double and then struck out with the bases loaded back in the fourth. A drive to right, but Sheridan barely has to move and reaches up to make the catch. A rarity in this game, a 1-2-3 inning for Morris. Blyleven back to work, and will be back to work after these messages from your local station.
Continued at a ballpark near you.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Start for the Minnesota Twins. The 8-5 win last night and the 6-2 edge here as Blyleven goes back to work in the seventh and wife Patty looks on.
And to show you how Blyleven has settled in, since Sparky Anderson elected to sacrifice in the second with a man on after a two-run home run by Lemon, 15 hitters come to the plate with a double playoff travel. 14 of 15 have been retired by Blyleven. So he is settled into a pretty good groove. The single by Whitaker with 2 outs in the 5th. Evans single, travel into a double play. Few balls hit hard, but at people.
Despite the Twins' dominance at home, the Tigers have managed to win 4 of 6 here during the regular season. Curve swerved outside. A bullet that's foul. If Morris does work on 3 days rest, that would be Monday in Detroit in Game 5. Didn't miss by much.
I think Lemon only heard that curveball change directions. He didn't see it.
And there's strikeout number 6. And it's Lemon's turn to beat.
He rarely says anything. Started way back in the 1st inning. You get the leadoff hitter on a strikeout. Questionable call is evident by Lemon's expression. All Sparky did was said, come on, sit down. You can't do any good out there arguing. Always more important than you do to the leadoff hitter. When you're behind, that's what Blyleven's trying to go at hard.
Sheridan lifts one into left center. Ladden cruises over, squeezes it for out number 2.
Here's the pitch to Lemon, a fastball that started out away. Our center field camera is not at the perfect angle, so the umpire from here would be funny, but I thought the ball missed. Something Durwood Merrill was not supposed to do. Call guys out very often. Said he got a little tender-hearted once you got 2 strikes on you.
Grounded toward Gagnon. Tigers go in order in the 7th. '62-year-old Wayne Terwilliger, in his 39th year in professional baseball, played with the old St. Paul Saints and Minneapolis Millers in this area, and this is the first championship of any kind he's ever been involved with. Twiggy. Gladden, Lombardozzi, and Puckett in the last half of the 7th. 6-2 Twins. Fastball fouled off. Center field, Lemon racing over into the gap and takes it right against the fence.
He went from a lot of brightness in center field to an awful lot of shadows. It's one of the few parks in baseball when you look down you can see shadows projecting in different directions. Usually they set the candle power of the lights so that there aren't many shadows, but all around, home plate, out in the outfield, and those lighting conditions affect visiting teams both defensively and at the bat.
Lombardozzi 0 for 3. Fastball is hit well to center, but Lemon has room enough and makes his second put out of the inning. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WCMH TV4, Columbus, Ohio.
Puckett has 1 hit in the series. Big change floats in there.
Finally starting to get some of those over. Is it too late? Each pitcher now, Blyleven and Morris, has set down 7 consecutively.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Goodbye, Kirby Puckett. Small consolation for Morris, however. We go to the 8th. 6-2 Twins. It hasn't been Jack Morris's night. He's allowed only 6 hits, but all of them have figured in the scoring. 4 of them for extra bases. He's walked 3, and all of those in Twins scoring innings, so they've really bunched them. The sign in reference to the negotiations during the offseason that might have brought Morris to the Twins as a free agent.
John Grubb pinch hitting for Heath, hitting in the 9th spot, which will mean Sparky Anderson will lose his DH. His catcher, DHing Noakes in the 5 spot, will go to catch. The pitcher who comes in will hit in the 9th spot. Might not even come about. He could pinch hit for him if he gets the pitch. But Sparky did it in the 3rd game up at Exhibition Stadium. Pinch hit Bergman, and Henneman had to hit. It was a game, one of the games that Toronto came back and won. So Sparky playing with that DH today and see if it affects the game.
Sparky figuring that this late in the game, he's got enough bats on the bench that even if he has to pinch hit several times, this won't burn him.
Yep, that's what he thought in the 3rd game up at Exhibition Stadium, and Henneman came to the place.
Broken bat. Gaetti goes to one knee, hustles up, and Herbeck with an extraordinary play.
Both ends.
Gaetti has a Gold Glove. Maybe Herbeck should.
If you wanted to generalize, usually an infielder goes better to his glove side. Not Gaetti. He goes better to his offside, to his right. Off balance, sprung to his feet, Grubb, left-handed, doesn't run as well as he once did, but still it's a squibber. Look at Gaetti, way off the line. He's got to go 4, maybe 5. And it was an artificial surface plane that he knows he couldn't plant his feet, so he came to a skid stop on his knee. And look at this reaction. Herbeck on the other, and great.
Whitaker swings at the first one and lines it foul.
Are they putting on a show tonight and last night for the hometown folks?
One and one. The Tigers are down to 5 outs, trailing 6-2 as they bat here in the top of the 8th. I don't think you could have found many objective baseball men who wouldn't say before this game that the deck was stacked in favor of the Tigers. With Morris going and with all their left-handed power against Blyleven,
that one balancing factor that we've mentioned, and you started off last night telecast with it, the extraordinary home record the team can balance it in the Twins' favor, and it has done it all year long, no matter what the other factors are.
And it is no small factor that in the alternating system, this is the year for the American League West to have 4 of the 7 at home. Here's a long drive off Whitaker's bat. Brunansky turns, but this one is up over the canvas and against those rolled up bleachers for a home run. Second of the night for the Tigers. Lemon hit one earlier. It's 6-3.
Well, they needed something to excite their team against Blyleven, who has really shut them down over the last 5 innings plus. Bert has seen this before. Got the ball, looked like a little down to Whitaker, inside part of the plate. Whitaker, when he first came up, didn't pull the ball as much as he has the last few years. The strikeout total has gone up because of it, but he's being more of a run producer.
Smacks one for a hit. Brunansky quickly toward the line, going to hold this to a single. With Evans' lack of speed and the game situation coming into play.
Very quickly popping out of the bullpen. He's only had a few throws. There's a man warming up for Tom Kelly, and they're going to stall for a little time because he hadn't thrown too many. So Kelly signals for the conference while Juan Berenguer begins to throw. They're just trying to buy a little time, get in more pitches as Blyleven, who was pushed hard early, had the high pitch total we showed you. Seen the signal. What Kelly was doing was looking over his shoulder to get a verbal sign from Dick Stalmazic, the bullpen coach, whether he's ready or not. Merrill trying to break it up, comes out and said, do you want him or don't you? Making this mind up right now. Now Bert's going to have a conversation to stall for a few more pitches for Berenguer.
He might have felt he was a little slow to hook his starter last night, letting Viola go and work to an extra man. Berenguer and Reardon now up.
Reardon's only had 5 or 6 soft tosses.
And he's not going to waste as much time tonight. Standing ovation for Blyleven. Pitch to Gibson is a called strike. Kirk is 1 for 7 with a walk in the series. The one hit was a homer. He struck out 4 times.
First base, Herbeck not bothering to hold Evans on. He's going to protect the gap in the right field line.
Quickly ahead of him 0-2. Berenguer has a good fastball, and he learned the split finger from Roger Craig when Craig was the pitching coach in Detroit and Berenguer was with the Tigers. There's the last line of defense getting ready. Jeff Reardon.
For those who second-guessed Kelly yesterday, this is the spot he would have loved to use Reardon.
Struck him out.
A very hard throw with that forkball. Berenguer strikes out about 1/30 pitch. He also walks a lot. His strikeout to walk ratio about 2 to 1, not good. But if he walks somebody, he's got that overpowering fastball and the forkball to strike guys out.
Tigers need another base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. And how important is that play where Gaetti and Herbeck both sparkled to start this inning now? Grubb was robbed. Whitaker followed with a homer, then Evans had a single. The 2-1 pitch. A big chopper over the mound. Lombardozzi is right on the bag as he fields it. Trammell is arguing that Lombardozzi actually crossed the bag before catching the ball. Here's Grubb leading off the 8th. Gaetti to his left, or his right rather, goes down on one knee, picks it up. Now watch Herbeck. Oh. And the reaction in the dugout after that play is made.
Well, Trammell hit a bullet in the 3rd with a man on. They converted to a 6-4-3. Herbeck made a great play to rob Evans of a double, which turned out to be important before that. And now that one. What is happening now with Noakes behind the plate? The DH is gone. Morris now, still in the ball game, becomes the 9th place hitter.
And Morris labors on into the last half of the 8th. Herbeck swings on the first one, bounces it to Whitaker. Plenty of time, 1 out. Folks, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Gaetti last last night's hero with 2 home runs. He did not hit a home run tonight, despite what the graphic said. He has doubled and then been retired his next 2 times. Changeup is walloped down the left field line. Foul.
Wow, Morris's reaction was something. Body English and hand and glove trying to push and foul. It was too far inside. Again, the forkball getting him in trouble. To hit it hard, Gaetti had to pull it foul. If he tries to steer it fair, he jams himself. Look at the quick bat. He has appeared a good part of these first 2 games to be looking away, hitting the other way, so they tried to come inside. I believe that was a forkball. It just hung up there. And look at Morris.
Well, he's still got a sense of humor despite the 6-3 deficit. There goes the bat, but the ball's in Noakes' glove, and that's 7 strikeouts for Morris.
Looked like a pitch that Morris has had a lot of trouble with the good part of the day. A little forkball. And that's hurt him.
There's a guy
all hard stuff.
Sitting on that bench who can relate to letting that bat fly. Tony Oliva used to do it all the time. Now the Twins hitting coach, 3-time batting titleist, and maybe someday a member of baseball's Hall of Fame.
One time they had 10 batting titles in the room together. Oliva and Carew.
This ball's well hit by Bush, but actually he got it off the end of the bat. And in comes Sheridan to make the catch. So last licks for the Tigers. And it'll be Noakes, Lemon, and Sheridan. Morris waving to some family members up in the stands, but it wasn't his night. It's probably useless to try and speak over the roar of the crowd at the Metrodome. So here's Berenguer to Noakes.
Reardon was up last inning, and then he sat back down. Atherton and Schatzer through. It appeared that he couldn't get loose, but he's up again. So he maybe has said, I'll try it again, and he's popping some balls pretty good down in case Berenguer gets in trouble.
2-1. Just pumping some major league gas.
If the fans fire this team up, wow.
Lemon a strikeout victim on a disputed call as last time. Strike 1 on the fastball inside. He'll fly to Detroit on his own energy.
Dome is a madhouse, and down on the field, the winning manager, Tom Kelly. Tom, for 2 nights at least, you've become a household name.
Well, I don't know about that, but my guys played real good, and Bert struggled in the beginning, and he got it together for us, and he pitched an outstanding ball game, and Barron Garrett come in and really did a fine job finishing them off. The guys played outstanding today, and I'm real proud of them. Got behind and then came back against a great pitcher like Jack Morris. It's a real tribute to my guys, and I'm real proud of them.
Tom, how much of a boost do you feel these great fans have been here to this your team?
They've been outstanding, and they're behind us all the way, and it really makes it an emotional and a high-pitched game, and the guys are really responding to them, and we have to go over to Detroit now. We're going to have to turn it around, because it's going to be just the same way for the Tigers over there.
Do you have any thoughts about how you'll be able to play well on the road, something you haven't done all season?
Well, we're going in with the thought that on May 31st, we won a doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers in Tiger Stadium. We're going in with that thought, and we're just going to try to have a carryover from these games, and we're going to try to take it to them.
Tom, thanks very much. We'll see you in Detroit.
Okay, Bob, Tony.
So long. Let's go over to the other side. Don Sutton is with a very gracious Sparky Anderson. Don?
All right, Bob, thank you. Sparky, I'd have to guess this is not the way you had it planned, is it?
No, Don, you know you don't like to come in here and go down 0-2, and I wouldn't try to kid nobody. They're playing awful good, and they're really coming after us right now. They beat 2 good pitchers already that we've thrown at them, but we go home now, and I never say we get you home, but when we go home, I think that we'll get a little better. They just outplayed us. There's no question about it. There's no sense to say that we're having tough luck, because we're not.
Jack Morris seemed to be a little bit unnerved by Bush's steals. Do you think that affected his pitches to the next few hitters?
No, Don, it really didn't. That never affects him. What happened was, if you'll notice, he got balls up. Yeah. He got 2 fork balls up, and he got a fastball, a high slider up to Laudner. He made some mistakes there, but I thought Jack tonight, Don, in all honesty, had excellent stuff. That's as good a stuff as you're going to take out there. And he made 3 bad pitches tonight, and they were aggressive, and they attacked those pitches.
How will your guys respond to this?
Real good. We don't have no problems in our camp right now, and it's 0-2, and they have us in very good position for them. I don't try to kid you, but you'll be surprised. I won't say and try to get one of those people say we'll be back, but believe me, our camp's safe and everything will be fine.
All right, I know it's not easy. Thanks for sticking around. Sparky Anderson, he gets him back in Tiger Stadium, but he's down 2-0. Back to you, Bob.
All right, Don, and as Sparky has repeatedly told us this past week, back in the early 70s with a Big Red Machine, in a situation like this, he might not have been able to smile so easily, but he's got things in perspective now as a veteran manager. And tonight's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game, after a shaky start, is the winning pitcher, Bert Blyleven. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 in his name to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. The 1987 American League Championship Series has been brought to you by Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. By Buick, and again this year, as it has for 85 years, the great American road belongs to Buick. by the Prudential, going above and beyond to meet your needs in insurance and other financial services, and by the Polaroid Spectra system. Reardon struck out the side to clinch the win last night. Berenguer does it in Game 2 tonight. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage is Harry Coyle. Tonight's game was produced by Ricky Diamond, directed by John Gonzalez, replay producer David Neal, replay director Bob Levy. Stay tuned for your local news, followed by The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, and then Late Night with David Letterman, except on the West Coast, where you'll see The Cosby Show. Don't forget, tomorrow night, it's Game 3 of the National League Championship Series, starting at 8 Eastern Time, as the Cardinals take on the Giants at Candlestick. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola will be on hand for the call. And Saturday afternoon from Detroit, it's Game 3 of the American League Championship Series at 1 Eastern Time. The Twins, with some breathing room, will send Les Straker to the mound. Walt Terrell will try and right the Tigers ship. Until then, this is Bob Costas for Tony Kubek and our stat man up in the booth, Steve Horn, saying thanks for sharing in the delirious scene in Minnesota. And until Saturday.